To explain the simulation, let's start with the concept of turtles all the way down, the cosmology myth that the world exists on a turtle, which in turn exists on a bigger turtle, which exists on an even bigger turtle. This continues forever, or all the way down. But I've seen pictures of Earth from space, not one space turtle. One could argue the turtle is too large to observe, but that's not really the point. Turtles all the way down serves to explain the conditions which dictate our current experience, but also the conditions that caused those conditions. We exist because of a turtle, which exists because of a previous turtle, like how we exist because our parents had a child, because, etc. We can apply this concept to simulation theory. In simulation theory, our real selves exist apart from this reality, while our consciousness exists in a virtual reality experience that is indistinguishable from true reality. If we replace world with simulation and turtle with hardware, we could say this world exists on a turtle. However, this can only happen because of the living being that created the hardware and software. This living being is itself software dependent on hardware. This hardware is also dependent on something external to it. Therefore, turtle or hardware is in itself a world or simulation. This continues forever. Following this logic, this world or simulation we exist in is also a turtle or hardware for an internal simulation. We can see this in the differing viewpoints of people. They all experience things differently despite interacting on the same simulation. It is made more apparent with artificial intelligence. A perfected AI can provide everyone with everything they need or want, most likely by separating everyone into their own virtual reality spheres or worlds. From this perspective, the AI utopia is our world become a turtle, and our spheres are our new worlds. So how does this virtual reality become hardware for another simulation? The simulation is imperfect because it is based on an imperfect simulation. We know this because if that simulation was perfect, there would be no reason to run another simulation. We know any simulation we run now or in the future is imperfect. Desiring perfection, a simulation is run within our simulation to try and simulate a better simulation to replace this simulation with, but it just leads to more internal simulations. There is no core hardware or first software. Imagining this source of everything, it would contain all realities. Containing all realities, it contains all the changes and states that happen within. Being in contact with these changes, the absolute center would make changes itself to compensate. In this way, this supreme reality is making changes based on something external. In other words, this supposed supreme reality becomes dependent upon something. So we do not find the start, we only reverse the direction. So turtles all the way down is really simulations forever in both directions. It is a cycle. There is no start, there is no end. We see the cyclical nature of reality exhibited in all aspects of our experience. Sunrise, day, sunset, birth, life, afterlife, hunger, eating, fed. The cycle of simulations is a long-term event and a short-term event, but more importantly, it is occurring to us every moment. We are the cycle, the turtle and the world. The mind is the software and the body is the hardware. The software interacts with the hardware interacts with the software. Repeat. This occurs countless times a second. Each one of these cycles are self-contained simulations which are run, found imperfect, and ended to be replaced with another. We experience these simulations so quickly that we think it is one continuous simulation, like how videos or games are individual sights and sounds played together at many frames a second. Is there something external to this process? It cannot be conceptualized because that would require software. It cannot be touched because that would require hardware. Without investing in or disposing of any simulation, one must look beyond hardware and software. We do this by impartially observing the present simulation. Investing in simulations is experienced as longing for the past and future. Disposing of simulations is experienced as fear of the past and future. Being independent of the simulations is characterized by being happy for no reason, being content in good and bad times, and going with the flow. When this is practiced, the cycle begins to slow. One will experience glimpses of the perfect more and more. Eventually, one can see the cables keeping us plugged into this cycle. As one stops powering simulations, the cables atrophy and fade. Disconnected from the imperfect, the perfect will be all that is left. In future videos, I will go into topics such as, do AI ever leave the simulation? The relativity of mood and time, and the practical reasons for limited intervention time travel. I hope to see you there. Have a good one.